Oh, the bugs. I'm telling you, man, it's the worst part. Hands down. Like, I've been in some situations, and being too hot sucks, being too cold sucks, being sleep deprived sucks, but being swarmed by freaking bugs, it's just bad in so many ways. What am I doing today? Well, not much of anything. I made a decision to go shoot pool last night, and I put a restriction on myself that I'm not going to drink or anything for at least 2 weeks, so I don't do the whole go back to buying cigarettes thing, because that's just a bigger waste of money and contrary to what I'm trying to do here. So yeah. I mean, in consideration, I don't really want to go back to that place. And with the way drinking has been, it's not really that big of a deal. It's just the more of that kind of stuff I quit doing, the less of me I hold on to. It's like, you know, I'm not saying, you know, my friends didn't define me. Probably. They may have had a hand in some decisions that I make. They may have had some influence. But I am not what my friends are. And losing them wasn't that big of a deal. I learned at an early age not to get attached to anything. But, you know, it still loses part of who you are. Like, you're made up of pieces like a puzzle. And the more things you lose, sometimes they can be replaced with other things. But the more and more you lose, the less and less of you remains. So, like, I don't consider myself an avid smoker. I didn't consider myself, you know, a big, you know, stoner. Well, maybe. For a little while. It never really defined me. I never considered myself a huge drinker. But, you know, those were things that I did. And I quit everything that's drug related for several reasons. I quit smoking for obvious reasons. And drinking doesn't hold much of a benefit for me. So, like, the only reason I'm doing it is because it's something different to do than sit and stare at a freaking wall or play video games. And all those things I've done for a slight period of time. So, just up and abandoning them, you know, makes me feel less like me when I'm already damaged in that area. Like, I'm already damaged in the am I still me thing. Like I lost and gained, good and bad, things over a large period of time. It's like that puzzle that was me is like a whole other picture now, because the pieces are all different. So it's like, you get what I'm picking up, what I'm putting down. Anyways, long story short, regardless of the result, I'm thinking about trying to quit drinking too. The biggest problem I have with that is that the biggest problem I have with that is it's going to make me want to do less. And the less I want to do, the more I sit in that freaking room, and the more of my life I waste. Now, technically anything I do is basically wasting my life. We all have a set amount of time on this planet, and you're never really going to change or influence anything. At least not in a meaningful way, or at least probably not. So regardless of what you do, you can either live for yourself, you can live for somebody else, but ultimately you're wasting your time, because, it's just that is what it is. I'm coming up to the lookout, and I want to try to not look like a psychopath, so I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to restart the clip. Alright, so not too surprising, although there's still a chance of somebody ahead of me, but not too surprising, there's no people here. So as I was saying, you can live for yourself, you can live for somebody else, you can, live for the fact that you're afraid to die. But if you really think about it in the grand scheme of things, most of the population spends their life doing things to profit for somebody else. If you rent a house, you're paying bills, you're paying rent, probably overinflated rent bills, and somebody else is pocketing the money. You work at a job, you're doing work at that job, you get a paycheck, they tax it, people that are getting the taxes obviously ain't spending a whole lot of that on what needs to be spent on, but I don't even know what I was going to say. But you're working for that company. That company is probably underpaying you. Then they take the taxes, and the person that owns that company most of the time is rolling in the dough. You know what? Scrap all that. We're moving on. So let's this is all going to go into the video because it's going to be relatively short. The goal today isn't really having one. I don't want to lay around. It's too nice to sit in the house, but I don't want to go and get all disgusting, rock climbing something or trying to swim through the river. And I don't want to, and there's not very many places I can go at the moment to collect anything for copper related things. So, there's still a lot of places I want to go. There's still a lot of hills I want to conquer, so to speak. But I just don't want to do it today. Here's a couple reasons. I drank last night, so I'm a little fuzzy. Not as bad as I normally am, because I was a bit more conservative. I still am a little fuzzy. And whenever I took that hike last video I put up 3 days ago or something, I said about that rock in my shoe, right? And instead of immediately dealing with it, I was waiting until I found a place to chill out and deal with it. Well, unfortunately, when I noticed the rock and to the point of where I decided to deal with it was probably 2 miles. So I ended up getting a big blister on my foot, which isn't the end of the world. Now, don't take medical advice from me, because obviously I am not a doctor. I like to think I know a thing or two, but almost everybody likes to think they know a thing or two. The difference is, do you actually? So anyways, there's something up here. It's not a person, I don't think. And yeah, it is. All right, I'm gonna go for a minute. I'll talk. Alright, that's kind of weird. I turned around. I took a little mini clip walking past. I asked if anybody was there. Not on camera, because just in case if somebody popped out of somewhere. Yeah, it's kind of weird. This is a public walking trail. There's a bunch of junk in the tent, so, and the sleeping pads and stuff. So somebody's actually sleeping there, which is super weird for the small town, because as I am one of the few people that actually hike, this trail does get used a lot. People come back here and, you can fill in the blank. I used to come back here for quite a few reasons myself. So, besides hiking. So this does get used, and it is a way to go from one town to the next without having to walk on the road. So it's just weird to see somebody camping here. Like it's not the first time I found a tent here. It's not the first time I found a tent up here, but the first time I found a tent, there was nothing in it. Like that clearly has somebody chilling out there. A woman too, as far as I could tell. But I didn't snoop too much just in case somebody was in there. I'd hate to get depending on the situation. I don't got hobo stab insurance. So I figured it's best to, if they wanted to be bothered, they would have answered me. Now, what was I saying before that weirdness happened? Blister on my foot. Yeah. So don't take medical advice from me because I'm not a doctor. Anyways, now that disclaimer out of the way. I've got really bad blisters a few times, obviously. When I wear crappy shoes and walk obscene distances, that can sometimes happen. I found to keep yourself on your feet and not have too many issues. If you take a pin and you go right between the layer of skin that's bubbled up and your actual muscle in your foot, and you kind of pierce straight through it, you can squeeze out all the watery junk. And you might have to do this 2 or 3 times depending on how big it is. And I don't mean right away, 2 or 3 times within a day or two to drain it all out. But once it's drained out, it just kind of re-adheres to the skin that's there or the muscle that's there and heals up. So right now, if I tried to walk in my boots, probably would hurt because of where that rock was. There's now a hole and stuff, so there's a difference in texture. And then when I walk barefoot, it hurts. But as long as I'm on a flat surface and the weight's distributed, I don't step on a rock that's particularly right in that area. I don't really feel anything. So yeah, not medical advice, but I mean, if you have a sterilized lance, you could just bloop, done. So yeah. I'm still waiting for that Hills Have Eyes moment where I turn around and some hillbilly shoots me in the face with an arrow, drags me off and eats my body. Next. This is something I want to do. I kind of want to do what they're doing, in a sense. Not camp on a public trail, but considering the situation, I would assume traveling. I would assume they're traveling. Because I don't think anyone would camp back here for, the fun of it unless maybe they had kids. But that looks more like an experienced traveler than a mother and her children. Who knows? Anyways, another interesting fact. I know I said about the blister on my foot and stuff, but like I said, as long as I wear these shoes and I don't, it's nothing. It's not like a terrible injury. I can still move around just fine, as you can see. But I weed whacked yesterday. Yeah, yesterday before it started to rain, and I had to move some boxes to my yard sale pal that we're doing. Interesting fact. Now, again, I'm not an expert, so don't take this however you feel. I'm not an expert on animals. Like I said, I like to think I am. I have some experience, but I found a spider and I'd never seen it before, the type of spider it was. So I tried to get a closer look, and between the moral struggle of smashing it or trying to catch it and setting it free, it ended up getting away. But considering that I don't know what kind of spider it was, I decided to Google some images of a brown recluse, and it matches pretty good. So there might be a fairly large brown recluse in my yard sale supplies. I'm not too worried about it. The thing is, they are semi-native to the area. And as much as I'm in the woods, I probably brushed up against one sooner or later, or eventually, or did already. So, you know, having it in, well, it's on the outside room of the house, but still attached to the house is a little bit unnerving. And I don't know why, besides the fact that I told my grandmother that I did kill it, because I didn't want to hear complaining. Yeah, I lied. I told her I did smash it. Because otherwise, I either would have to tear the pantry apart to find it, or she would have just threw a hissy fit for the next 6 hours. And I really didn't want to do either one of those things, because more than likely, if there is one, there's probably more. So even if I did find it and smash it, something gave birth to that spider. So there's probably more somewhere. And here comes the train. So yeah, and now I'm having a new mental problem. Let me switch hands, because the sound's better if the speaker isn't facing the train. I'm having a new mental issue. So now I've been kind of like picturing this spider in weird ways. Like, I went to drink a glass of milk, and I had this here like mental image of it like in my milk cup. And I'm not scared. Like, I'm really not scared. Like, I was a little bit freaked out when I considered catching it, and it kind of like turned towards me. Like, it was like, I know you're there, and, you know, screw with me. Like, I'm not gonna say I wasn't a little unnerved, but I'm definitely not scared. But for some reason, that image is just now like burned into my mind. And that freaks me out, because I don't want to be drinking a glass of milk picturing a giant freaking spider in there. That's just not something I'm interested in. As far as Grandma's concerned, besides the regular stuff, not really much to complain about. Still pretty irritated by the way she acts about some things. Still kind of irritated about the clear manipulation. And still kind of irritated about, you know, how much money she throws away when I clearly need stuff. But I'm not going to change any of that anytime soon. So, you know, other than that, it's been kind of the normal stuff. You know, the bipolar. You know, it's like there's a camera rolling in the house. You know, sweet old granny when the camera's on or off, and then psychopath when the camera's on or off, depending on the situation. Anyways, so that whole situation's that it is what it is, you know. Don't really have anything new to say about it. Last thing is I hurt my hand. My right hand. I'm not entirely sure how I did it, and it's very subtle. It's not like if I move it a certain way or try to perform certain actions, I can feel it, and it's almost like a bruise, except there's no mark. Like if I damaged a muscle or something, and I have no idea how, like unless it had something to do with when I was weed whacking, and it was just so subtle I didn't notice it. So that's a little bit annoying. I don't have very many ideas for PS1 games for the future. I think I have 2 set up to go out on Saturdays. I'm trying to find a good horror game, like a scary one, because the different music clips I downloaded pertain better to suspense and horror than, you know, like Crash Bandicoot. You know, it's gonna be some of the soundtracks I downloaded are more not as whimsical, so yeah, and I think that's about it. Once again, as far as the future is concerned, your guess is as good as mine. Periodic gaming, I'll try to find something to do. Like, my main focus right now is try not to be fat, like try not to get super fat. Like that's the main focus. and I'm not completely convinced I'm getting fat. Like, with the extra stuff I've been doing and hauling 30 pounds of metal out of the woods and climbing these hills, it's a very good possibility that a lot of the weight I gained is muscle, and I'm just not losing fat because I'm still eating trash for the most part. So I don't really know what to really think there. If I could get back to maintaining about, $160, I'd feel a lot better. But, age, diet, activity, it all affects it, and I'm not exactly in the best situation to perfect that. I don't know, like, I can't tape the yard sale because there's going to be tons of people there that know me and I know them, and that's just going to be annoying. I have been talking to more people. I don't know how I feel about that either. Like, I don't really want to be part of a lot of the garbage that goes on around here, but the longer you spend not talking to people, the more you kind of want to talk to people. So I've been talking to more people that have a friendly demeanor, and I don't think they're trying to get information about something or cause me some sort of harm. But, you can never really tell about that. Age-old proverb, looks can be deceiving. Anyways, this is probably getting kind of lengthy, and I think it's spitting rain, so I think I'm going to go at the beginning of the trail anyway. Thanks for watching. I was kind of hoping to run into the happy camper up there, but that doesn't look like it's going to happen, and I'm not entirely sure if I want to. I don't know what the situation is there. Like, this is just a weird place to camp. But, alright, I'm done. I'm out of here. Later on.